Okay, again, this relates to significant market power, so we can move on. Next slide. Repealing clause, so these are some of the laws being repealed. We have no objection. In fact, we support it. Although I'm sure some of these agencies might comment, but we do support the proposed amendment. Okay, next slide is establishing a fund. We do not have any provision under the PCA that allows us to use income. We don't have any retention of income. I mentioned earlier, we do have this ADB loan for capacity building, but it will run out or expire by 2027. Now, moving forward, ito po yung nagiging problema because the salary structure of the PCC, hindi siya subject sa SSL eh. Meron siyang sarili. So, in 2016, may pinasilang structure. Admittedly, mas mataas yon sa mga national government agencies. Ang problema, hindi built-in yung adjustment. So, unlike sa national government agencies, when you have SSL, usually 4 tranches yan, every year may adjustment. Ito wala. We have to beg DBM and then the Office of the President for adjustment. That said, marami pa rin siguro, some of the jobs mataas pa rin compared sa NGs. But by next year, I think maybe a third or 40% of the positions, mas mataas na yung counterparts sa national government agencies. And the result is, may mga nag-aalisa na. They're transferring. So these people who underwent the training, so these people who underwent the training, lumilipat. They go to NEDA, they go to BSP, they go elsewhere. So we'll need continuous training even afterwards. So we're hoping na mapasok to, well, pinasok nyo po doon sa proposed bill that an antitrust fund be constituted. Ngayon, DBM normally frowns on this. Kaya lang, ang difference nito siguro is the utilization of this fund will really be more for research, capacity building, maybe investigation. None of it will go to salaries or emoluments. Kasi yun normally ang fear ng DBM, baka we'll grant ourselves bonuses and what. So we make it specific, none of it will go to that. Para walang issue na, we have, this amount money that we can play with. So talagang mapupunta siya sa mga training and ganon. Maybe rewards for informants, baka pwede rin mapasok doon. But yan yung point. Because I think one of the fears rin, and I think this is true of the private sector, is if the agency will get a portion or whole of the income from fees and fines and baka magtaas-taas naman ng fines yan kasi mapupunta sa kanila. Here, at least, we know there's no personal benefit from it. It really goes to agency development. So, yun ang proposal po. So, none of it will go to allowances, salaries, honoraria, or what. We'll limit it to that. As currently worded, I think it's 100%. We're open naman to whatever would be acceptable to the Congress and which DBM wouldn't balk against. Okay, the next one. Okay, power. Oh, okay, subpoena power. This is one of our challenges kasi the law does provide subpoena power. But it's very clear that we can use that subpoena power in investigations and compulsory notification of mergers. Pag motu proprio investigation of a merger or acquisition, well, we currently have a case pending in the Supreme Court because there's one party, well, non-party. Here's the thing, no? Kasi when we say subpoena, ang sinusubpoena rin dyan are other players in the market to get data kasi they have to complete the picture of the market. If the data is publicly available, okay, walang problema. But a lot of times, the data is not publicly available. For example, sales of pharmaceuticals. There's no real publicly available data on that. So our economists would have to extrapolate from the major players to see what does the market look like. May pumatol and nanalo siya sa Court of Appeals, but then the Solicitor General said, no, we're bringing this up to the Supreme Court. Tingin namin mali sila doon. But it calls into question yung interpretation of the law as it is. And so I think this proposal is meant, and some of what we're adding also, is meant to leave no doubt para wala na silang masabi na pwede talaga isupina. I think one of the problems is that they think they're worried about confidential business information. But that's actually in the law, and there are stiff penalties if we violate that. Kaya po internally, we have each of our offices have their own protocols when it comes to handling business information. For example, our enforcement office cannot request information from the mergers office. Anything submitted there, hindi pwede. In fact, there was a question once raised, pwede ba nilang isupina yun? Pero mukhang hindi, because that's meant to encourage businesses to be open, to actually provide the information that's being requested. So this is meant just to be more specific, remove any doubt as to that subpoena power. Next slide, please. Last two na lang ata to. Okay. Interim measures. This provides a list of what can be done. Again, the purpose is to remove doubt. Kasi the law says we can impose interim measures. Kaya lang, hindi rin klaro ano yung extent. And so we said, okay, let's list it down. And let's see what the comments are. But then, mas maganda to kasi at least malinaw na, pwede pala nila gawin to. Or pwede ganyan. For example, cease and desist. That could be an interim measure. If a violation is occurring and it's causing damage to people or consumers, yun, maganda sana kung may pwedeng gawin kaagad doon. We could do that now, but then it's open to question. Pwedeng dalhin sa husgado. Sabihin na, wala naman doon sa batas yan eh. Generic lang yung nakalagay doon eh. So, sige, we'll be more specific so that it's very clear. And then the last slide is establishment of regional offices. This is not in the existing law. We just want to prepare for the time when we can. The authority would be subject to approval of the Office of the President. Right now, we have 4 what we call investigation stations. They're located in Baguio City, Legazpi, Cebu City, and Davao City. And they're just manned by up to 3 job orders. Because we don't have any basis yet to justify creating regional offices at this point. Our scale isn't up to that. And well, we don't have the budget and manpower for it also. But we thought it was important to at least have a presence, not only for advocacy efforts, but then our executive director did the math and said, mas mura lumabas if we maintain job orders in these stations rather than flying people over to do investigations. So they ran the numbers, mas mura yung ganon. So it's really just to have that presence. And so, pag may investigation rin, these people are local, so they're more familiar with the terrain. They know the area and the people and so on. The last point I'd like to raise is, I think one of the proposals was to increase the threshold notification to 50 billion, which was done during COVID. If you recall, I think Bayanihan 2 raised it to 50 billion. We would caution against raising it as it's too high. We looked at the numbers. Out of about 350 plus mergers and acquisitions that were reviewed, if we keep the threshold at 50 billion, I think only 10% would be subject to review. So siguro medyo mataas pa siya at 50. What we do have though is annually, and this we do every year, we adjust the thresholds. So based on nominal GDP. So normally, umaakyat talaga siya. There was only 1 year bumaba siya. This was after 2020 kasi COVID noon. So nag-negative nominal GDP tayo noon eh. So yun, bumaba siya ng konti. So we would suggest keeping that situation because we do adjust it annually. But if the committee were so inclined to have a higher base, kasi under the law 1 billion lang, wala na yon. There are no transactions. Like I said, ngayon two-pronged yan. You have the 9.1 billion size of any party, and then you have the 3.8 billion size of the transaction. If you want a higher base on which we start computing, I think we're open to that. Like if you wanted to make it, or gawin muna natin 10 and 5, and annually na-adjust, pwede po naman yon. The other thing we've been studying, and I think the authority is in the law already, is to have maybe different thresholds depending on the industry. Kasi there might be some industries na hindi man ganun kalaki ang turnover or what, but there's significant players in the market. So baka a lower threshold could apply to them. There's some naman, like think of energy. Now you're talking about, tens of billions and even more, or even banking maybe, na baka pwedeng taasan. That's something inaaral po namin, and I think we do have authority under existing law for that. But we would caution sana or request na wag sana yung 50 kasi we're trying to build pa that culture of competition. It's improving, I think, over the last 5 years na gumaganda. So I'll leave it at that po. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Chairman Michael Aguinaldo, for that thorough presentation. Do you have do we have the DOJ Office for Competition? Maybe you have a presentation also that you can present to us. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. We do not have a presentation or slides, but we have prepared, Mr. Chair, our written comments which we would like to confirm with the committee. So we have submitted our written comments, Mr. Chair, and we submitted some of our observations to the proposals. But for priority, Mr. Chair, we would like to go particularly to sections 12, 13, 31, and 35 only, if I may discuss them, Mr. Chair. For the proposed amendment to Section 12, Mr. Chair, our comment and observation would like to focus on the distinction between non-criminal provisions of the PCA vis-a-vis criminal provisions, because we suggest categorizing the penalties under the PCA into those two categories to properly delineate, Mr. Chair, our operational guidelines. This will allow law enforcement agencies to still investigate apparent criminal violations independent of the PCA. So for its part, the DOJ, OFC can still coordinate with other agencies under the supervision of the Secretary of Justice, such as the National Prosecution Service or the National Bureau of Investigation, which would eventually ripen into a criminal preliminary investigation, which involves all violations of penal laws, including the PCA, Mr. Chair. So for this one, we proposed the insertion of the word non-criminal provisions of this act to delineate, Mr. Chair, the original and primary jurisdiction of the PCC over the non-criminal provisions, Mr. Chair. For Section 13, Mr. Chair, our observation is that the proposed amendment, which inserts the phrase upon the filing of a criminal complaint by the PCC with the DOJ would somewhat unduly restrict the power of the department to conduct case investigations or case build-up. So, following the same remarks in Section 12, we propose that the amendment to include that the OFC under the DOJ shall conduct case build-ups, preliminary investigation, and undertake prosecution of all criminal offenses arising under this act. If I may emphasize, Mr. Chair, the department, pursuant to our department circular number 20, enables our prosecutors to conduct case build-up activities with law enforcement agencies. So this goes hand in hand with our efforts to increase or to ensure that cases being filed will meet the threshold of prima facie evidence for reasonable certainty of conviction. So the DC-20 of the department, if integrated with the PCA, would allow the DOJ to basically work hand in hand closely with our law enforcement agencies before a case is actually filed. So if we limit, Mr. Chair, the power to file cases or file criminal cases solely by the PCC to the DOJ OFC, it will unduly curtail our power, Mr. Chair. And for moving on, Mr. Chair, for Section 31, on the fact-finding preliminary inquiry, although there is no amendment, Mr. Chair, proposed by the good sponsor, we propose that the second paragraph be revised or amended as well, Mr. Chair. And if we can, we propose a new provision, which is Section 31A, which we wrote in our comments, to ensure the alignment of our procedures with the PCC, Mr. Chair. There is already the DOJ already issued a Department Circular 16 series of 2020, which provides our guidelines for the filing of criminal cases with, I suppose, with this has already been consulted with the PCC, and there is a process, Mr. Chair, that the complaint shall first be administratively investigated by the PCC, and thereafter, if the complaint contains evidence sufficient to establish a criminal complaint, then a criminal complaint before the DOJ can be filed thereafter. So, but nonetheless, if we remove this second paragraph, Mr. Chair, this will allow our law enforcement agencies and other complaints to be received and handled by the DOJ OFC. So that's finally, Mr. Chair, for Section 35 on the leniency program. Although there is not a specific, or although the proposed bill does not have a specific change to this paragraph, but we suggest including the DOJ OFC in the consultation and approval for leniency applications, Mr. Chair. So essentially, the leniency program or the process for leniency application is almost akin to a witness protection program. So this would grant immunity from suit, and that is why the DOJ would like to reserve our comments or our authority in evaluating these applications because it might affect the criminal prosecution, Mr. Chair. So what we're just asking is for the DOJ to also be included in the approval process of the PCC. This is not to be exclusively handled by the DOJ, Mr. Chair, but together with the PCC. Thank you, Mr. Chair. These are only our priority comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Prosecutor Gabriel Ignacio, for that presentation. Do we have Dev here? Yes.
Yes,
Good
po. Good
morning.
morning, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ma'am Rochelle Palang, you can take the floor now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. DepDev generally support the proposed measure insofar as it intends to strengthen competition enforcement and modernize Republic Act number 10667, and it is consistent with the objective of Chapter 10 of the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028, or the Competition and Regulatory Efficiency chapter. However, Mr. Chair, DepDev respectfully express strong reservations on the proposed 50 billion threshold for compulsory notification. Available data indicate that only a small fraction of competitively significant transactions would meet this mark, leaving the great majority of mergers outside mandatory pre-transaction review. We respectfully recommend that the threshold be recalibrated to a level that more effectively captures a broader range of transactions consistent with evidence on the Philippine merger market. We also recommend, Mr. Chair, that the bill define significant market power, clarifying its relationship with the existing dominant position standard under Section 4 of the PCA. Inserting the term without a definition creates interpretive uncertainty with practical enforcement consequences. We further elaborate these remarks, Mr. Chair, in our detailed comments and recommendations as we have transmitted to the committee's secretary po.
Thank you, Ms. Rochelle. We are now three representatives here, and I think we can officially start. This meeting is now called to order. To begin our proceedings, may I request everyone to please rise for the singing of the national anthem, to be followed by the invocation.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, hanap ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay.
Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting. Sa manlulupi, di ka pasisingil.
Sa dagat ang tulong, sa simoy at sa langit mong lugaw. May dilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal.
Ang islap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidingding.
Ang bituin at araw na kailan pa may di magdidilim. Mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Let us put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with gratitude for the opportunity to serve our people through meaningful dialogue and responsible governance. Grant us wisdom and discernment as we deliberate on matters that will shape the nation's economic direction, strengthen institutions, and safeguard the welfare of our citizens. May our discussions be guided by fairness, integrity, and a sincere commitment to the common good. Help us to listen with open minds, act with prudence, and work together in unity despite differences in perspectives. This we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Representative Alba, for that meaningful prayer. We now proceed for the calling of the roll.
Mr. Chair, I move that we dispense with the calling of the roll.
I second.
There's a motion duly seconded, and there being no objections, the calling of the roll is hereby dispensed with. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the meeting dated February 3, 2026. Copies of the minutes, I believe, were previously distributed to the members.
Move to approve the minutes of the meeting dated February 3, 2026, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is carried. The minutes of the meeting dated February 3, 2026 is hereby approved. The chair acknowledges the presence of the distinguished members of this committee. Representative Jose Manuel Alba of the 1st District of Bukidnon. Good morning, sir. Representative Rolando Ledesma Makasayat, SSS GSIS Pensionado, and member of the majority. Representative Brian Paul Lemanzares, FPJ Bayanihan, Panday Bayanihan, Vice Chairperson. Thank you for your attendance and participation in today's meeting. Comsec, kindly acknowledge the resource persons and guests present in today's meeting also.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joining us in today's meeting, we have the following resource persons for House Bill number 711 from the Philippine Competition Commission. We are joined, of course, by Chairperson Attorney Michael G. Aguinaldo. Thank you. And Commissioners Ferdinand M. Negre and Commissioner Lolibeth Ramit Medrano. Good morning. Of course, we are also joined by Executive Director Kenneth V. Tanate. From the Civil Service Commission, we have Mr. Ricky D. Kabatik and Attorney Hannah Kezia P. De La Serna. From the Department of Budget and Management, we have Mr. Reynaldo L. Moreno. From the Department of Justice, Office for Competition, we have our presenter earlier, Prosecutor Gabriel Lorenzo L. Ignacio, and Attorney Lea Cristianilde F. Manotok. From the Department of Trade and Industry, we have Attorney Lester Olimpo and Ms. Iris A. Garin. From the Civil Aeronautics Board, we have Attorney Novian Banogon and Attorney Brent Louis Calizar. From the Department of Economy, Planning and Development, we have Director Bien A. Ganapin and OIC Chief Economic Development Specialist Rochelle Ann Palang. From the Department of Transportation, we have Attorney Sherry May Polikit. From the Manila Water Company, Inc., we have the Director of Regulatory Management Group, Ms. Evangeline M. Clemente. From the Director of Government Affairs Group, Mr. Carl Zapanta. And Attorney Haven Lynn F. Garcia. From the Maynilad Water Services, Inc., we have Attorney Roylan Rigil Kent A. Alonzo and Maria Magdalene P. Guevara. And finally, from the Maritime Industry Authority, we have Attorney Eusebia A. Kadlum Boko. And from the Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System, we have Attorney Claudine B. Orosio Isorena, Deputy Administrator for Legal Affairs. Good morning, everyone. That is all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Comsec, and of course, thank you to our resource persons here this morning who have accepted the invitation of this committee to provide your valuable inputs on the measures under consideration today. Next in our agenda is my remarks to our distinguished members and authors, honorable ex-officio members, esteemed resource persons from our partner agencies and representatives from the private sector, On behalf of our committee chairperson, Antonio A. Legarda, a pleasant morning to everyone. As policymakers, our work is not only to respond to problems after they happen, we also have the duty to anticipate the risks, address gaps early, and support reforms that can prevent bigger economic issues in the future. At a time when many Filipinos continue to feel the impact of rising costs and economic uncertainty, it is important that we pursue reforms that improve government coordination, strengthen consumer protection, and ensure that key industries remain efficient, reliable, and responsive to public needs. As we convene today, allow me to recognize the continued commitment of this committee in advancing measures that provide fair competition, strengthen essential services, and support the economic growth of our country. The measures before us today recognize that a strong economy depends not only on growth, but also on fair market practices, and reliable essential services. Today, we consider House Bill number 711, which seeks to strengthen the Philippine Competition Act. This bill proposes to expand the enforcement powers of the Philippine Competition Commission, increase penalties for anti-competitive conduct, improve merger review process, and strengthen the Commission's institutional capacity. Strong competition policy is important to protect our consumers and support long-term economic growth. Recent concerns over rising fuel prices and possible market manipulation remind us that effective regulatory oversight is necessary, especially during periods of economic stress, and strengthening the Philippine Competition Commission will help ensure that markets remain fair, transparent, and competitive. Before the committee proceeds further, the chair also wishes to inform the body that House Bill number 7641, which proposes the creation of a strategic industries review committee covering the water, electricity, and transportation sectors, shall be deferred from formal consideration for the meantime. This is in light of the resignation of its principal author, Representative Nathaniel M. Oducado, as manifested in plenary session yesterday evening. Nevertheless, this committee recognizes the continuing policy importance of the subject matter. These sectors directly affect the daily lives of our people and the operations of businesses. Issues such as fragmented oversight, high costs, and service inefficiencies remain important matters that may require future legislative action. For this reason, the chair will still allow agency representatives and stakeholders who are prepared to do so to place on record their comments, technical inputs, and policy recommendations on the measure. These inputs may assist the committee in future deliberations should a similar legislation be filed and pursued by another member of Congress. Taken together, these discussions reflect our shared effort to build a more competitive, efficient, and responsive economy, one that protects consumers, supports businesses, and promotes sustainable growth. As we begin today's proceedings, I encourage all members, agencies, stakeholders, and resource persons to take part in a constructive and meaningful discussion. Let us carefully examine these matters and their possible impact on our economy and our people. Thank you, and I look forward to a productive and meaningful session this morning. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. We now proceed on the initial deliberation on House Bill number 711, entitled An Act Strengthening the National Competition Policy, amending for the Purpose Republic Act number 10667, otherwise known as the Philippine Competition Act. May I request Representative Brian Poe to sponsor the measure in behalf of Representative Benitez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the explanatory note of Representative Benitez's bill, House Bill 711, for the record.
Second.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we will adopt, duly seconded, motion is approved. Thank you, Representative Brian po. Initially, we had the Philippine Competition Commission present to us already, and the Department of DOJ, Office for Competition, and DepDev, no? The committee is now open to other comments is there someone from the Civil Service Commission?
Good morning po, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the Committee on Economic Affairs. Good morning po to everyone. I'm Attorney Hannah de la Serna po from the Office for Legal Affairs of the Civil Service Commission. So, pursuant to the constitutional mandate po of the CSC to promulgate policies, standards, and guidelines for the civil service and adopt plans and programs to promote economical, efficient, and effective personal administration in the government, we have confined our comments and recommendations po, Chair, to the following matters relative to the civil service and human resource management and administration po. So, on Section 4 po of the proposed bill, the amendment to Section 9, compensation and other emoluments for members and personnel of the Commission of RA number 10667, the CSC notes po that the proposed amendment to Section 9 of RA number 10667 seeks to authorize the Philippine Competition Commission to establish its own compensation and position classification system and to exempt the Commission from the qualification standards promulgated by the Civil Service Commission. The CSC po respectfully emphasizes that Section 2, Paragraph 2 of Article 9B of the 1987 Philippine Constitution provides that appointments in the civil service shall be made only according to merit and fitness. The CSC likewise notes that qualification standards form part of the merit and fitness system in the civil service, as these serve as the minimum requirements for appointment to government positions and ensure that appointments are based on competence and qualifications. Accordingly, the CSC respectfully recommends that the proposed exemption from civil service laws, rules, and regulations on qualification standards be revisited to ensure consistency with the constitutional principle of merit and fitness in the civil service. Lastly po, on Section 6, Amendment to Section 11 of RA number 10667, the CSC notes that the proposed amendment to Section 11 of the law provides for the appointment, qualifications, and term of office of the Executive Director and technical staff of the Philippine Competition Commission. The CSC respectfully emphasizes that the DBM, based on its mandate, has the authority over the creation of new positions and the approval of the organizational structure and staffing pattern of government agencies. The CSC, for its part, shall assist in the review and approval of the qualification standards of newly created unique positions pursuant to Section 32, Rule 8 of the 2025 ORA or the Omnibus Rules on Appointments and Other Human Resource Actions. We further manifest that the CSC's mandate and the attestation of appointments to be issued to new first and second level positions in accordance with civil service laws, rules, and regulations. Other than the foregoing observations po, the CSC finds no objection to the proposed measures insofar as compliance with civil service laws, rules, and regulations. So we thank you for the opportunity to provide comments on the proposed legislative measures po. We will submit the signed position paper po once it is approved by our principal. Thank you po, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you for that. The Department of Budget and Management.
Magandang umaga po sa lahat. Magandang umaga, Mr. Chair, and to the honorable members of this committee and sa mga kapwa po kawani ng pamahalaan at panauhin na nandito. Ako po si Ray Moreno, mula po sa DBM. While the DBM recognizes po the intent of the bill to strengthen the PCC, and we are supportive on this. However, we would like to respectfully manifest our reservations on the two provisions, specifically on the proposed amendments on Section 9, wherein the PCC will be exempted from the compensation position classification laws and rules and regulations, and on benchmarking po the PCC with those in the BSP. We deem that this proposal po will entail significant costs to the part of the government, since mas malaki naman po talaga yung compensation that received by the PCC. So any increase po, particularly on pegging it with those BSP, will put fiscal risk po, or constrained on our fiscal space. Besides, Mr. Chair, the PCC po has already submitted their proposed salary adjustment, which is under review by the DBM. To date, may I inform po the committee that per coordination with the Bureau in charge with the PCC, as of May 2026, there is 227 po field positions in the PCC and 17 unfilled position. So the authorized position po is 244, if I may be corrected by the PCC. On the part po of the proposed amendment on Section 51 on authorizing them to retain 50% of the fines. So we reiterate po the policy stance of the economic managers on the income retention, and the proposed trust fund, we also reiterate the same. We note po that although it is cleared in the proposed provision, the purposes of the anti-trust fund, we note that the same po may be included in the proposal po in the PCC budget po. So that's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Do we have someone from DTI? Department of Trade and Industry.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. For the DTI, we've already submitted our position. We are in support of the measure, and we cite 3 points as our comment. First, with respect to the anti-competitive agreements under Section 10, the BOA is of the position, or the DTI is of the position, that a balanced approach may be necessary to avoid legitimate forms of industry cooperation, infrastructure sharing, and joint ventures that enhance efficiency, reduce costs, and expand service coverage, especially in capital-intensive sectors such as real estate, logistics, transport, and energy. Additionally, in sectors such as infrastructure, construction, and utilities, collaboration among firms is often necessary for large-scale and capital-intensive projects. Joint ventures, consortiums, and similar arrangements show companies to pool resources, share risks, and meet technical and financial requirements, particularly under the PPP framework. So when conducted transparently and in accordance with procurement and regulatory standards, these collaborations should not be viewed as anti-competitive. In fact, they can enhance efficiency, promote competition, and improve project delivery. Therefore, the BOI on this point recommend that the amendment to Section 14 and its IRR clearly distinguish between strictly prohibited and prohibited anti-competitive acts and legitimate partnerships that promote healthy competition and efficiency. Also, clear guidelines on or exemptions should be provided for collaborations that improve services, reduce costs, or widen market access. In addition, the DTI recommends that close coordination with the Department of Economy, Planning and Development, and Department of Public Works and Highways, and Department of Transportation and the PPP Center will also help ensure that the competition policies support the government's Build Better, More Infrastructure program. Our second point is refers to the abuse of dominant position under Section 11. The DDI recommends to provide a clear exemption for long-term supply and service contracts that ensure investment recovery or operational safety. Also, in this regard, there should be close coordination with the DOE, Department of Transportation, the SUD, and other relevant agencies to ensure legitimate infrastructure practices are not penalized. We note that in infrastructure-heavy and regulated industries, long-term or exclusive contracts are often necessary to secure financing, manage risks, and ensure continuity of essential services rather than to restrict competition. So while the BOI supports stronger safeguards against abusive conduct, the law should remain balanced and context-sensitive, allowing legitimate long-term agreements that promote investments, security, operational safety, and sustainable infrastructure development. Last point for the DTI BOI is with regard to the fiscal and other industry-specific incentives under Section 2. It is the recommendation that the provision on this may be considered be deleted, considering that the PCC is already a member of the FRB Technical Committee with voting rights. So any concerns regarding competition matters may be raised there and before its elevation to the FRB proper. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, can I say something? Is that okay, or do we have to have presentation?
Last na lang.
Okay lang po. Okay lang po.
Representative Makasait. ERC? Can we hear from the ERC? Meron ba? Okay. All right. So we thank the resource persons for your inputs today. And now we open the floor for questions from our representatives. You have the floor, Representative Makasait.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I'm a neophyte congressman, so I really don't understand some of the rules. So I hope you will accept my apology. But I have one comment. I have actually two comments, but I will start with the comment of the coming from the DTI and the Department of Budget. Everybody, all government agencies want to peg their salaries with the BSP. I just want this clear to the members of this committee and everybody present here. You see, when I was president of the GSIS, I was earning 18 million a year. I was one of the highest paid executives in government. And Bangko Sentral increased their salaries to 42 million a year. That means the chairman of the Philippine Competition Commission will get a salary of 42 million a year. I just want the numbers clear to everybody. Para hindi tayo nagbobolahan, ha? Hindi halata, pero gusto ko lang malaman ninyo. Kung gusto nyo bigyan sila ng 42 million a year, that's very okay. The commissioners and the members of the monetary board earn 21 million a year. I don't know why they are brighter than us or brighter than me. Diba? My responsibility as GSIS president was, I was handling trillions of pesos, but they were earning much more than me and they were just making policies anyway. Correct? So it's up to you. Kasi ako, ang tingin ko sa gobyerno, there are three kinds of salary. Or, by the way, let this also be very clear, that the members of the cabinet take-home pay, I don't know the exact amount, pero siguro at the most 200,000. So, 300,000, right? More or less. So, I was earning, I recall my salary was roughly 1 million plus my other allowances. I would get about 18 million a year. And there was a time they tried to bring it down, and I had it brought down. So, the salary of the GSIS president was brought down from 1 million to 500,000, I believe, 560,000. Now you guys want to, well, whoever will have a pay of about 42 million. It's up to you para alam lang ng lahat ang ginagawa natin. Kasi If you just look at the number, there are no numbers eh. So it's better that everybody knows, and it is open to everybody, that the salary of the executive director will be 42 million and the members of the commission will be earning 21 million in the board and the executives. Correct, wait lang. Let me finish. For me, there are three levels of salaries in the Philippine bureaucracy. The BSP, na pinakasosyal sa lahat, and I don't know what makes them very special. Second, are the GFIs. So these are Land Bank, TPP, GSIS, SSS, all these income-earning corporations. And of course, the lowest paid are those in the regular bureaucracy. Of course, the Department of Agriculture, Department of Energy, and so on. It works that way. So basta alam nyo lang yung pinapasa natin batas. Kaya gusto ko, alam niyo lahat yung mga amounts involved. Ha? A member ng kabinete, 250,000 yata ang sweldo, di ba? More or less within that range, di ba? Para alam lang natin yung ina-approve natin. Number two, comment ko lang is, yung 50 billion, okay sa akin yung mga amounts, pero I'm always afraid of putting an exact figure into law. Because in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, those numbers may change. The exchange rate may change. And as other right things are going now, Mr. Chairman, I hope we should be a little more flexible. We should put in, I don't know how to, I was just thinking about it as we were discussing, Mr. Chairman. You see, when you put a figure of 50 billion, Mr. Chairman, that was $1 billion a few months ago. Today, that's only 800 million. So, I don't like to, the figure has to be, perhaps we could say, adjustable to the exchange rate, Mr. Chairman, or perhaps we should put in a clause that depends on the inflation rate, Mr. Chairman, and we can, so that, and we give the commission authority. So if we give them $1 billion, after all, you're talking of FDIs, correct? If, so let's say, we'll say if the why don't we can say the equivalent of, I don't know how to put it, adjusted to inflation, but the commission already has the authority. Pero in 5 years, 10 years, these amounts, then we'll have to amend the law again. And then that's what I don't like. So we have to be more prudent when we put exact amounts. Yan lang po, Mr. Chairman. I think they know better than me which amount and how to do it in the law. If you can make a suggestion, the chairman now po is a good friend of mine and very bright anyway po. Thank you po.
Thank you, Representative Makasait. Any comments? Chairman?
Dalawa lang po. With respect to the benchmarking sa BSP, for the record, hindi kami naglagay nun. Pero hindi rin namin tinanggal.
Siyempre, kahit ako.
Well, we know naman realistically, hindi. We do have some proposals that we can present siguro sa technical working group. Nothing close to that. Nothing even close to the former GSIS salary. Hindi naman. But I think currently kasi we're exempt talaga from the SSL. The problem is wala kaming automatic adjustment. So what some of the people were receiving back in 2016, today ganun pa rin, and you can already figure the erosion of purchasing power since that time. No? But it is pending sa DBM, sana bumilis lang, pero it's been there for over a year already. So we're hoping na mapabilis lang yun. Tapos, secondly po, dun sa point ni Kong Rolly, if I may, yes, that's why we're a bit hesitant on putting a round figure. We do have a system where we automatically adjust it every year. It's based right now on nominal GDP, so normally yung growth rate nung ano. But we are allowed under the law to look at other factors, and our economists are looking at that already. Specifically now, the foreign exchange rate, no? Tinitingnan rin po namin yon. We have some suggestions of maybe a base, because as you know, we have size of party and size of transaction. So there are two thresholds. So we're thinking maybe we start with the base and then we automatically adjust every year. Every March 1, you'll see may bagong rates po yan. So right now it's 9.1 billion size of any party and 3.8 billion size of transaction. We're very open to increasing those, and I'm sure people in the business community would love that as well. So yun lang po. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you suggest the amounts? Can you help us, educate us? Kasi ewan ko si Mr. Chairman, with your permission lang, mas naintindihan nyo eh. You are in the field eh. Ayaw siguro, I don't know the other members, pero ako personally, ayaw ko ako mag-suggest. Kayo po ang magsasuggest kung ano yung mga amounts, kung ano po yung proseso. I think you agree with me, putting in 50 billion is a little tricky. So why don't you give us some suggestions? You're in the field, you're experts in this, in the field. Kayo po bahala. In fact po ako, I'm not objecting to the BSP, by the way. I just want to disclose to everybody what your salary will be, and there's nothing wrong with that. My salary in Congress is 300,000 kami lahat. O, alam naman. Hindi disclose ko yun. So, disclose ko rin yung sa inyo. Wala namang problema doon. Ha? Minus taxes pala. Kaya ang net ko, 260,000. Gusto mo? Tama, Mr. Chairman. 260,000 ang neto ko. Kalahati nun, solicitation. Bumoto pa ako ng no, baka mawala pa lahat. So Chairman, sorry for that. Kayo po, mas expert po kayo. Whatever your suggestion po, I don't see it. I think the committee would appreciate that. No?
Thank you, Representative Makasait. Representative Alba, you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, I heard that PCC is not covered by the SSL, no? So I'd like to ask lang, so what salary structure are you following?
We were given a job grade structure. Iba nga, hindi siya salary grade, job grade, and it's 1 to 19. So there's specific rates. This was developed by DBM back in 2016, I think. I suppose with input from the PCC then, which was really higher, no? And I think the reason why the bill might mention BSP is because when the original law was being passed, the discussion back then, and I got this from former Congressman Georgidi Agabao. He was saying that, no, we want it level with BSP. But then, BSP wasn't earning as much as they are in the last 5-10 years. No? Mas maliit pa yung, malaki na, but mas maliit kaysa today. So I think that was the basis. What we're hoping for is that we get a similar adjustment anytime there's an SSL adjustment. Para naman nakaka-increase sila. Because currently, we have to go to DBM, ask them to approve it, and then recommend it to the Office of the President, so dadaan pa doon. So it's kind of tedious kasi nga there have been only 2 increases in the past. Pero ano lang yon, from I think job grade 15 or 14 down. So yung sa taas hindi na adjust. Although admittedly mas mataas pa rin yung sweldo nila kaysa sa regular agencies. But even the increase dun sa baba, I think it was 8% lang at one point, which was the inflation rate in January, February, and March of 2023 yata. You know, so yung purchasing, in terms of purchasing power, yun yung problema. Plus the fact by next year, a lot of our positions will be earning less already than their counterparts sa national government. So we will hopefully propose something that puts us at par with the OIC, yung Office of Insurance Commission. Na we're not too far apart from them, but we're probably about 10 to 12% below them. Put it at par there, and then we're hoping we can get a similar adjustment anytime may SSL. So that nag-grow naman yung ano. Kasi nawawalan nga kami ng tao because of this. They go to BSP.
So Mr. Chair, next year, ang Philippine Competition Commission will be less competitive because of the problem with the salary structure. Maybe, sir, you were suggesting a while ago.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I have no problems with you having, in fact, I am one of the advocates. In fact, kung ako po masusunod, gusto ko yung cabinet members, ang taas ng sweldo eh. Gusto ko nga minimum 1 million a year, o mga cabinet, o 2 million a year. No? Parang Singapore, gayahin natin. But I don't know, that's politically tenable. But this is the Philippines. But anyway, ako po, suggestion ko sa inyo, kung payag lang po kayo, what you can do po is gayahin nyo na lang siguro sa GFIs. Diba? O kaya, mas mataas kasi ang GFI kesa, ewan ko, baka magreklamo naman yung Insurance Commission kasi mas mababa yung Insurance Commission kumpara sa amin sa SSS, sa GSIS. Alam nyo po, ang sweldo ng SSS President, I recall, 560 yata ako I was 1 million sa GSIS. Pinababa ako, pinapantay ko yon. Kaya ang presidente kayo ng GSIS, pareho na lang. So, siguro you can follow that na lang or I don't know. Pero makikiusap ako, wag naman yung BSP kasi sobra naman yun. 42 million, ano na yun. Yeah. Kayo, I mean, Mr. Chairman, kayo po, mas expert po at saka yung mga tiga ano po sa Civil Service Commission, alam po nila yon. Ayoko po masyadong ano po kasi basta kailangan nag-a-adjust din ang sweldo nyo, otherwise mawawala kayo ng empleyado Ang gagaling pa naman ng mga tao dyan.
Thank you, Representative Makasait. Can we hear from others if somebody else wants to comment from other agencies? May comments pa ho ba? Mukhang ayaw nilang pag-usapan ng sweldo.
Alam nyo ba sa sweldo, Mr. Chairman, nahiya sila. Ako po, I'm very open about salaries kasi naniniwala po ako na may mga pamilya kayo, may mga ano kayo, kaya okay lang po sa akin na ano kayo. Kaya lang, para ho kasi yung BSP, para ma-immortal sila, tayo mere mortals Pare-pareho lang naman kami nag-aral kung bright sila, bright din tayo
Thank you, Representative Makasait. I have a question. Is the proposed authority of the PCC to determine its own qualification standards sufficient, or should this bill require consultation with or review by the Civil Service Commission?
Yeah, I think currently we, Mr. Chair, if I may, I think currently we do consult with the Civil Service Commission for all yung sa QS. In fact, sa amin okay lang naman yun that it's a QS set with the Civil Service Commission. We have no problem with that part.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, should this bill include safeguards to ensure that compensation flexibility does not create inconsistencies with broader civil service equity and fiscal sustainability principles?
We agree po with Congressman Makasait's point na wag naman yung BSP. we recognize that. We're realistic naman about that. We're just concerned about the disparity that's going to be created beginning actually nag-umpisa na but beginning next year. So what we will propose something again maybe similar to yung Insurance Commission. But I think even more important than that would be the adjustment. Anytime may SSL adjustment, whatever the weighted increase is, siguro ganun na rin yung sa amin, just to keep it in pace with inflation and the like.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Aguinaldo. I have a question also for the DTI. How would this national competition policy affect DTI's mandate on trade, industry development, consumer protection, MSME development, and investment promotion?
Sir, wala naman po siya masyadong affect. In fact, we fully support yung sa PCC. I think PCC and DTI are always working hand in hand when lalo na sa enforcement, I know, sa enforcement. So, as long as for the benefit of the consumers, for their protection, we will always support PCC. Not much actually kung ano po, yung sa wala naman pong effect sa amin since malinaw din po kasi kung ano yung jurisdiction nila at yung matters na meron po kami din po sa DTI.
Thank you. How do you How do you now police the online transactions, especially those who are doing online selling and especially bulk selling, yung bulk selling, not just yung parang retail. These are warehouses that you will see online na nakikita mong truck of deliveries of items or goods. And these are not small retailers, these are big wholesalers na, you know, when you're talking about online selling, we just don't look at the small players, but you can also see online selling of big warehouses delivering tons of goods, no, to other provinces or other companies, no? Can you please help us on this?
Okay po, sir. So for DTI po kasi, there are two separate bureaus who handles first the e-commerce bureau for online selling or anything na may consumer transaction online. It is handled by the ECB. When it comes to bulk sale po, sir, may specific po kaming bureau na which is the Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau. Sila po yung nagmo-monitor when it comes to bulk sales, either online or on-site din po, or upon report din po. Sila po yung nagmo-monitor nun and surveillance, sir. So when it comes to enforcement, I know that the FTEB or the Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau, regularly po silang nagmo-monitoring. And then for online, for yung example po ninyo, sir, pag may nakita din po kasi si ECB na kailangan i-monitor din ng FTEB, nire-refer po talaga nila sa FTEB para mapuntahan and then ma-address din po yung issue, sir. So, aside from that, syempre, apart from monitoring, we also welcome po na sana yung mga consumers po natin, the public itself, report these incidents to DTI para syempre mas masecure po natin yung protection din nila. Thank you po.
Yes, thank you. Kasi alam ninyo, maraming online sellers ang pumapatay sa ating mga retailers. And as we can see, they don't have operations. They don't have office. No? Wala silang overhead expenses. That is why they are much cheaper than the ones in retail. Kagaya nung sinasabi ninyo, iba yung humahandle ng mga big bulks. And this is the what department is that from the DTI?
The Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau po. Sila po yung nag-handle talaga nung sa bulk sales. And then po pag kunwari online po, that would be the e-commerce bureau po.
Okay. Do you have all of these numbers available online para may mga kung gusto mag-report? Do you have this in your page sa DTI?
Yes po, sir. Meron po kaming meron po kaming dedicated actually na page, consumer care, .dti.gov.ph. Pwede po silang mag-file po ng complaint, or kung hindi po, they can actually reach out to our office. Available naman po yung mga numbers po namin online, even in our social media pages. Kung gusto mo nilang tawagan kami when it comes to reporting, or even kung gusto po nilang magtanong sa amin kung ano yung proper remedy po nila. Kasi syempre, kailangan din namin i-acknowledge na hindi lang din po namin yun. Baka po mas effective kung gagamitin po yung mga cybercrime unit like ng NBI, or kung hindi ng PNP or ng CICC. So, yun po, sir. Pwede po nila kaming tanungin directly since no wrong their policy naman po kami. So, lapit lang po sila sa amin. We will answer as much as we can.
Thank you, Ms. Garin. Lastly, Chairman Aguinaldo, kanina nabanggit ninyo, may example kayo about the vaccines. And then may price fixing, di ba? And then you penalized all of these companies na nag-price fix. Anong nangyari sa mga kliyente nila na bumili? Ito ba ay naibalik sa kanila yung exorbitant overpricing, or what happened to to those who paid for these vaccines?
Actually po, Mr. Chair, hindi pa tapos yung case. But a lot of the parties have already settled. One of the problems we encountered here is yung record keeping nila. Kasi I think these violations occurred more than 5 years ago. And may nagsumbong lang, one of the parties actually yung nagbooking sa kanila. And so, yung record keeping nila kasi 5 years lang. So, it's difficult to determine how much, who received and so on. At least dun sa settlement. Dun sa main case, because there's still some parties that are in the main case, well, we haven't gotten to that point yet. But it's something we will look into as well po.
Okay. Are there other similar instances wherein these types of price fixing has happened, and what were the implications and the results of your investigation?
We've had a lot na yung water refilling stations, but like I mentioned before, these are mostly mom and pop operations lang. So we tend not to go hard on them because we don't want to run them out of business naman. So it's usually enough that they acknowledge the mistake and then they help us in advocacy efforts and yung hindi nila ulitin. So there's a lot of that actually. So yun yung again, they wouldn't probably have records of who they sold water to. Baka memory na lang nila. So we aren't able to get to that stage. The only time we were able to do that na may nasoli was yung sa Grab. They were ordered to refund a certain amount, and they did refund the amounts to some of their users. Unfortunately, there were some users na, for example, foreigner who was here temporarily, nag-enlist siya sa Grab, and so he was using the But then, nung umalis, wala nang record, and he doesn't have a Grab wallet, nor is his foreign address available. So they didn't know how to send it. So ang nangyari na lang doon, it became part of a fund and then it was reverted na to treasury in the end. But in other cases, may mga nakatanggap ng refund, especially those that have the Grab wallet kasi kinekredit kagad dun sa account nila.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Representative Alba.
Due to the numerous proposed amendments to the Philippine Competition Commission, I'd like to move that we create a technical working group to be headed by the Honorable Congresswoman Bella Swansing.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
There's a motion to create a TWG to be headed by Congresswoman Bella Swansing. Duly seconded. The motion is approved. Thank you to our resource persons. Thank you very much for your time. We now tackle House Bill 7641, entitled An Act Creating the Strategic Industries Review Committee for Water, Electricity, and Transportation and for Other Purposes. But before the committee proceeds further, the Chair wishes to inform the body that House Bill 7641 shall, for the meantime, be deferred from formal consideration in light of the resignation of its principal author, Representative Nathaniel Oducado, as manifested in last night's plenary session. Nevertheless, considering the relevance and continuing policy importance of the subject matter of the proposed measure, the committee recognizes the similar legislation may be subsequently be filed and pursued by another member of Congress. In this regard, the Chair will still allow agency representatives and stakeholders who are prepared to do so place on record their comments, technical inputs, and policy recommendations on this measure. These submissions and manifestations may greatly assist the committee in future deliberations on legislative proposals. May we therefore invite the concerned agencies and resource persons who wish to provide their comments or position statements to proceed accordingly. And may we request each resource person to first state for the record his or her name, position, and agency represented. And also to the others who are not involved with this particular bill, you may be excused, and thank you very much for coming. Maraming salamat po. So the floor is now open for comments and recommendations from other invited resource persons. Do we have a representative from the Civil Aeronautics Board?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and to the members of the committee. The Civil Aeronautics Board respectfully submit its full support. We particularly welcome the creation of an independent and advisory strategic industries review committee that will provide integrated review, monitoring, policy recommendations, and an annual strategic industries report to aid Congress in its legislative functions. As the bill expressly covers air transport, the establishment of the SIRC will foster better coordination among government agencies, enhance data sharing, and promote more evidence-based policies that can improve the efficiency and development of the air transportation sector. And at the same time, Mr. Chair, the CAB respectfully highlight that the aviation is a highly technical and globally regulated industry governed by the international standards under the International Civil Aviation Organization and practices of the International Air Transport Association, as well as existing international agreements to which the Philippines is a party. In this regard, we recommend that the SIRC be given the necessary flexibility to ensure that any recommendations and assessments concerning air transportation remain aligned with this global best practices and evolving international standards, while maintaining the Philippines' international connectivity and competitiveness. Overall, Mr. Chair, Your Honors, the Civil Aeronautics Board reiterates its strong support for the passage of the House bill or similar legislation. We are confident that this measure will significantly contribute to the improvement of the air transportation sector's regulatory framework, efficiency, and long-term development for the aviation sector. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Before we proceed, I would like to acknowledge Representative Ana Victoria Veloso Tuason, 3rd District of Leyte. Good morning, ma'am. Anyone from the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, Kaap?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and to the honorable members of the committee. First, we would like to express our gratitude for inviting CAAP to provide insights on this matter. I am Attorney Cristina Villalba from the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines. Mr. Chair, CAAP supports the intent behind House Bill number 7641 and interposes no objection to the concept of creating a strategic industries review committee subject to 3 quick points. First, it must not overlap. It must remain strictly advisory and not diminish the statutory mandates of existing regulators. Second, aviation safety. Any future reviews concerning airports or air navigation must be done in coordination with CAAP to ensure compliance with global safety standards. And lastly, for security, any data sharing mechanisms must respect existing national security and confidentiality laws. In support, Mr. Chair, we support this initiative, provided clear institutional boundaries are maintained to protect the safety and integrity of our aviation sector. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Villalua. Do we have someone from the Department of DepDev? Yes. Sir Ganapin.
Thank you, sir. Just to quickly provide you, sir, our comments, depth comments. We thank the committee for allowing us to share our insights and comments on the proposed bill. The DepDev recognizes the alignment of the proposed SIRC Act with constitutional and development objectives, particularly in promoting affordability, accessibility of essential services, and addressing monopolies and inefficiencies in the country's 3 sectors. We recognize that the bill correctly identifies these critical structural issues, including the fragmented regulation, underinvestments, high service cost, and the weak data integration. But while the bill demonstrates a good reform intent, the depth they would like to, we have some concerns, particularly in the overall institutional design of the proposed SIRC that may constrain its effectiveness. Um, First is on the potential duplication of functions that is already performed by existing government bodies. Number one, on the macro level, um, the 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 function assigned to SIRC to conduct cross-sector performance review and policy evaluation closely mirror the tasks undertaken by the Economy and Development Council through its cabinet level interagency committees. So these are mandated under RA 12145 or the Economy Planning and Development Act. Moreover, Mr. Chair, Honorable Committee, the bill also assigns the SIRC with sectoral functions that cuts across the electricity, water, and transport. For instance, in the case of electricity, the monitoring of prices, reliability, and market analysis may duplicate the functions of the ERC and the DOE. For water, we have the MWSS, NWRB, and the LW-LUA. Also conduct monitoring of performance and infrastructure gap analysis. Meanwhile, the DOTR and its affected agencies provide infrastructure and supply chain assessments already, which are related to transport and logistics. So this, given that these agencies collect data, monitor performance, and evaluate sector conditions, the proposed bill may overlap the existing analytical processes rather than filling an institutional gap. The inclusion of market concentration and competition assessments within the SIRC's mandate, as provided in the draft bill, may also overlap with the functions of the PCC, which has a statutory authority over competition analysis. Mr. Chair, also we also want to highlight some implementation challenges that is reflected in the bill. Number one, the SIRC is authorized to request data from relevant government agencies and regulated entities. Compliance to data requests, as mentioned in the bill, is subject to existing confidentiality and data privacy laws. So while we recognize the data fragmentation is a problem, the effective implementation of data sharing processes would require, I think it should be, we suggest that some provisions requiring the data sharing processes or data sharing protocols, provision for timely and accurate data submissions, and enforcement mechanism for non-compliance may be included in the provisions so that it would ensure that the SIRC's function as envisioned when it comes to securing relevant data will be complied. The bill also specifies that members will be independent experts. So we suggest to include clearly defined governance and independent safeguards. This includes provisions on the appointing authority, the selection process, as well as the safeguards against influence or industry capture. Adding these institutional safeguards in the bill will ensure the credibility and the neutrality of the SIRC. Also, the last point, Mr. Chair, the bill focuses on water, electricity, and transportation. These are three of the most complex sectors that the SIRC will be tasked to review. So taking into consideration the technical depth and the required to study and analyze each sector and the scale of data and analysis involved, the SIRC needs a multidisciplinary structure with a strong technical depth in and expertise in each sector, a robust data management support, and a central coordination mechanism in order for them to synthesize the findings into a coherent policy advice that can be translated into meaningful and actionable policy measures. So I stop here, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Ganapin. Before anything else, I would like to acknowledge the representative from the 2nd District of Sultan Kudarat, Representative Bella Vanessa Swansing. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for that, no? Let's make it short lang because, of course, the author of the bill has resigned from Congress, and we are waiting for another representative to file the said measure. So just a little ano lang, just a little explanation or a little from the Department of Transportation, ERC, Manila Water, Maynilad, Marina, MWSS, and PPA. So the OTR.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and the members of this honorable committee. Attorney Sherry Pulikit from the Office of the Legal Service. The Department of Transportation generally supports the laudable objectives of the proposed legislative measures. While we finalize our comments, especially we request our comments and recommendations from our sectoral offices and attached agencies, we respectfully recommends that for the reviews and assessments of policy recommendations of the Strategic Industries Review Committee, this must be undertaken in coordination with the appropriate authorities and concerned government agencies so as to ensure that the policy recommendations remain technically sound, operationally feasible, and consistent with the rules and regulations. Nevertheless, the department will endeavor to submit the official position paper at the earliest possible time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Pulikit. Anyone from the ERC? Manila Water?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the House Committee on Economic Affairs and other stakeholders. Thank you for inviting Manila Water. I am Eva Clemente from Regulatory Management of Manila Water, and we take note of the objectives of this bill to address the systemic issues in public utilities, and we will take a more proactive stance in participating in subsequent proceedings for this legislative proposal.
Thank you, Ms. Clemente. Maynilad?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I am Attorney Kent Alonzo from Maynilad Water Services. Good morning, Mr. Chair, and to the honorable members of the committee. We thank the committee again for inviting us. Maynilad interposes no objection to the creation of the Strategic Industries Review Committee. But to avoid any potential complications and duplication of functions, we just want to highlight the following. We note that under Section 5 of this bill, the SIRC is authorized to conduct a comprehensive review of the industries involved. But we note that to ensure alignment and to avoid duplication of reporting, we suggest that the SIRC should first coordinate with the applicable regulatory agencies on the information needed to conduct the comprehensive review of the relevant sector. Like for example, Mr. Chair, since the MWSS already regulates the operations of Maynilad and Manila Water, reviews the structure, performance, and efficiency of the same, and monitors our KPIs and compliance with service obligations. To ensure alignment and duplication of reporting in this scenario, the SIRC should coordinate first with MWSS on the information needed to conduct the comprehensive review that it intends to provide Congress. Again, we reiterate that we don't pose any objection to the creation of this committee. However, to ensure that there will be no duplication of duties and alignment with current regulators, we wanted to highlight the point I raised earlier. And we will submit our position paper in due course. Thank you, Mr. Chair, to the Honorable Committee.
Thank you, Attorney Alonzo. Anyone from Marina?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and to the honorable members of this committee. I am Eusebia Cadlumboko. I am the Director of the Legal Service of Marina. We have already submitted our position paper, and subject to the comments and recommendations stated therein, Marina expresses its general support for the proposed measure, considering that the same may be implemented in a manner consistent with existing maritime laws, regulations, and policy objectives. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Cadlumboko. From MWSS?
Good morning, Chairperson, and to the other members of the committee. I am Claudine Orocha Esorena, the Deputy Administrator of the MWSS Regulatory Office. I'd just like to point out that we have submitted our position paper yesterday through electronic means. And in general, we'd like to express our support for House Bill 7641. And in addition to that, we have proposed our recommendations for consideration of this committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That's the last. Okay, thank you everyone for this productive discussion and of course the inputs that you have provided the committee. I believe Representative Brian Po will file a similar bill, but it would be best that you submit already your position paper so that when he crafts the bill, it is in accordance with your position already para wala nang masyadong marami pang changes, ano? And of course, before we adjourn, the chair announces that there will be a technical working group this afternoon at 1 p.m. to be held in the same room relative to the proposed Circular Economy Act. The TWG will be chaired by the very able okay. Javi Benitez, and all concerned members, resource persons, and stakeholders are hereby encouraged to attend and participate in the discussions later. Now, are there any other matters?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that the discussion prior to this meeting involving PCC be included in the minutes of the meeting. So move, Mr. Chair.
There's a move that the discussion earlier be included in this meeting. Is there any objection? Hearing none. Motion approved.
Move to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Second, Mr. Chair.
There's a move to adjourn. Is there any objection? Hearing none. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much and good morning each and everyone. Good noon na pala.
Good noon na, Mr. Chair.